How is wealth created? Creating wealth to some people is having more than what you need, but here at XLANI, we start with a beginner's mindset, brain bites for the affluent, knowledge for the aspiring. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Now let's get straight into the video. Most people dream of being wealthy someday, but it's to spend more time with their family, or maybe it's to be able to call their own shots and control their own destinies. But unfortunately, the harsh reality is that most people will never become wealthy. And that's because most people have no clue about how wealth works and what it takes to be wealthy. School never prepared us for such a thing. It only prepared us to become good employees, and if you were not taught about wealth at home, chances are you are still clueless about it. But do not despair, because you are at the right place to take matters into your own hands. In this video, I am going to show you how wealth is created and also how you can make more wealth for you and your family. Here at XLANI, we are always uploading videos with educational and inspirational content for you on your journey to financial freedom, and without any further ado, let's get right to the cool stuff. Before we dive deep into how wealth is created, we must first define the term wealth. I promise you I won't get too metaphysical here. But this is important because each and every person has their own definition of wealth. Maybe you think being wealthy is living life on your own terms, or maybe you think it is making truckloads of money. But for the sake of this video, we are going to use the definition of wealth I got straight from Investopedia, which defines wealth as the accumulation of valuable resources and goods. So as long as you are accumulating money and valuable assets, you are getting wealthy. Simple as that. And now, with that out of the way, let's talk about how wealth is created and also how you can maximize your personal wealth. Number 1, work. Well, the first thing to create wealth is work. I know this is probably not what you wanted to hear if you'd like to escape the 9-to-5 grind and leave the rat race for good. But trading your hours for money is still the most reliable way to create wealth for yourself, especially if you are just starting out on your wealth building journey. Work could be old-fashioned physical work, like a plumber for example, or brain power work if you have an office job. Obviously, there are pros and cons to creating wealth with your labor. First, because the only way to increase your income is to work more hours, and there are only so many hours in a day you can work, so there is an obvious glass ceiling. Increasing and multiplying your income is going to be very hard this way. On the other hand, this is a great method if you are just starting out on your wealth building journey, because even though you can't work for endless hours per day, the only thing you'll always have is your time and your skills. And for as long as someone pays you for it, you can create wealth for yourself. Not to mention, you don't have to bear the risk of an entrepreneurial venture. You simply do the work and get paid, and if the company fails to make a profit at the end of the day, you will still get paid for your labor. Well, the problem arises when you are trading your hours for only a few measly dollars. So here are a few tips for you to create even more wealth with your work. First, you could go the obvious route of working more hours and creating yourself as a valuable employee, which would make the probability of getting a raise possible. Or you could try getting a side job. Secondly, you could upgrade your qualifications by getting a college degree or master's, going to a trade school, or looking for a promotion within your current organization. The aim is to get paid more per hour. Now, as you can probably tell already, increasing your income when you trade your hours for dollars is almost like fighting an uphill battle, because at the end of the day, you will still have to sacrifice your time. But if that's something you can live with, then do what suits you. If not, then do not despair. I am about to show you a few more ways to build wealth without having to trade your time for money. Number 2, assets. An asset, simply put, is anything that makes you money. An asset is not necessarily your house or your car. If it does not make you money, but instead makes you spend money, it is not an asset, it is a liability. Here's an example to make it clear. Is your house an asset? Well, depends. Let's say you spend $200 per month on utility bills, plus another $200 per month with overall home upkeep, totaling $400 per month in expenses. In this case, your house is not an asset, it is a liability. Now let's pretend you have a few spare guest rooms on your house and you start renting them on Airbnb, and it brings you $600 per month in income. Now your house would generate $600 in income while having $400 in expenses. totaling $200 in positive cash flow. In this case, your house is an asset. Once again, anything that makes you money is an asset. This is the same definition used by Robert Kiyosaki, famously known by his Rich Dad, Poor Dad bestseller. In his own words, rich people acquire assets. The poor and the middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. The thing is, if you want to create wealth, you must have assets. They will bring in consistent and reliable cash flow regardless of how many hours you work in a day, which will help you reach true financial freedom. Acquiring a few positive cash flow assets will be enough to replace your day job. Other types of assets would include real estate properties, bonds, and dividend stocks. Now, each one of them has its pros and cons. One may be riskier than the other, or may require that you spend a little more of your time micromanaging things, and whatever you choose to invest in will obviously depend on your risk profile and how much time you are willing to spend managing your assets. For example, maybe you don't want to spend time managing your portfolio. You just want to buy it and forget about it. Then probably dividend stocks would be a good investment for you. Or maybe you are a little bit more risk averse and prefer to play things safe, so you could choose to invest in CDs. Obviously, there is no right or wrong answer. As long as it brings you positive cash flow and fits your profile, it's okay. 3. Capital appreciation. Well, capital appreciation is simply when you buy something that becomes more valuable over time. In other words, the good and old buy low and sell high is an awesome way to build your nest egg. You could buy a stock, real estate property, or even gold. Now, it does not necessarily have to bring you positive cash flow right away. For example, a gold bullion will not generate cash flow for you when it is in your possession. You will only make money when you sell it for a higher price than when you bought it. On the other hand, real estate property can also generate money when you sell it. Now, capital appreciation is a very passive way to create wealth. All you have to do is buy and wait for said goods to appreciate, but you have to put in a little bit of work beforehand, mostly in the form of research, and that's because your timing is the most important thing when you are buying low and selling high. You have to know exactly how your investment vehicle works, and what could push its price upwards. Whatever the investment vehicle you choose, you should do a lot of research on it. And with any investments, there is always a little bit of risk involved if you want to build wealth this way. Number 4, innovation. Innovation is when you create something from nothing using only your creative skills. It could be music, an app, software, or even a patent. The marketplace clearly rewards innovation and great ideas. Just take a look at Google and Microsoft if you don't believe me. Now, the beauty of innovation is that in most cases, you need nothing more than your creative skills. Most of the time, you don't need big overhead costs, a team of PhDs, or a huge and fancy office. Again, Google and Microsoft were created in a garage with nothing more than a few talented individuals. There are a lot of ways to create value with nothing but your creative knack. But how you choose to do so will obviously depend on your skills. Maybe you are a programmer, so you could make a software that will somehow help business people. Or maybe you are an artist and you will entertain people with your performance. Or you are an inventive engineer and you come up with a new technology to be patented. As long as people value it somehow, either by finding it entertaining or useful, you can make money with it. Now, to figure out how you can create wealth this way, what are your current skills? And how can you create value with them? And if you don't have one yet, what skills would you like to develop? Then simply find a way to turn it into something that people would value somehow. If you love what you do, you can create wealth from it without ever working a day in your life. Number 5, saving. I know that saving money is not an exciting method of wealth building. There is no adrenaline rush or excitement when you put your money to rest, but you just can't overlook it, because if you don't save, you will never be able to invest, nor take advantage of the other wealth-building methods I have talked about in this video. Not to mention, a savings account to fall back on will allow you to take risks without having to bet the farm. Savings also leaves you afloat in case things do not go your way. But it is very easy to forget about saving money at the end of the month. It's probably because our human nature does not like to delay gratification. We just don't see any point in setting aside a small part of our income every month. But even if you save only a little bit per month, over time it can become a huge amount of money. That's the magic of compound interest. And if you always have trouble saving money, here is a tip that can help you. Pay yourself first. I took this tip straight from the famous book, The Richest Man in Babylon. We pay the government taxes, we pay the banks and credit card companies, and we pay everyone else first. But by the end of the month, the money has already dried up and there's nothing left to pay ourselves. This cycle is likely to continue on and on until we need money for an emergency. But alas, we have none. And here is an interesting quote from the book that sums up everything. You pay to everyone but yourself, might as well be a slave. Which is, unfortunately, exactly what happens to most of us. So, pay yourself first and set aside your desired amount of savings, be it 10%, 20%, or even 40% in case you are a hardcore saver. Pay yourself first, even if you need to set up automatic savings on your account. Don't forget that the more you save now, the more you can invest later. This will help you build your wealth in the long run. Thank you for watching this video. You've just learned some ways on how wealth is created and also how you can create it for yourself. How are you going to use what you've just learned to increase your income and finally achieve your well-deserved financial freedom? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.